psoriatic arthritis patients with ruined lives, people who believe they've lost control of their lives. You may be embarrassed about someone noticing your red and flaky skin lesions. It's a struggle to wake up to the itching, painful and disgusting scales covering parts of your body. And you're forced to wear clothes that cover up your psoriasis patches. Maybe you miss or have even forgotten what it was like to be your old happy self again. Do not have to think about your skin. Maybe your social life has plummeted because you feel too humiliated to go out and socialize. And you find yourself overwhelmed at times with anxiety and worry. Psoriasis patients often find themselves on an emotional roller coaster ride that they never seem to be able to get off. Oh no, here we go again with yet another skin flare-up. The devastating effects that psoriasis can have on your whole family life is an entire story in itself. Maybe you feel bad because you can't enjoy going out with your family on social outings. Being intimate has become a problem because of poor self-confidence or low self-esteem. Your relationships with loved ones and friends may be suffering, and you may feel that your skin is more of a problem than anything. It's like the life has literally been sucked out of you. Unfortunately, many of those feelings are all too familiar with my psoriasis patients. Did any of those ring a bell for you? If so, then what I'm about to share with you is important, because it's going to change your life, so please keep watching. You see, most of my psoriasis patients once considered themselves young and healthy with perfect skin. But once they entered the real world and started a family and working long hours, their health began to slowly change for the worse. In the beginning, many psoriasis patients initially develop minor digestive and immune problems. The real and obvious problems for most psoriasis sufferers is when they began experiencing skin problems regularly. Over time, it became increasingly difficult to hide the growing amount of skin lesions. The psoriatic lesions were becoming harder to control and they were dreading yet another outbreak, especially in summer. Over time, many psoriasis patients begin to suffer from nausea, headaches, fatigue, depression, or other debilitating side effects of conventional psoriasis treatments. And they became riddled with guilt and constantly beat themselves up, looking for excuses to not go out and to enjoy a day at the beach, play golf, or to enjoy their summer vacation with their loved ones and friends. But many of my psoriasis patients felt like they couldn't be there for those they love. Physically and emotionally, they couldn't be there for their family and friends, and that hurt more than anything. For a period of time, most psoriasis patients began to accept that this was just their life. But after 25 years of practice and thousands of psoriasis patients, I've worked out a blueprint that changed their lives forever. I discovered through research of psoriasis that the digestive system must first be healed before you can expect to improve your skin's health. I worked out the critical link between stress, the immune system, and those awful psoriasis outbreaks. Did you know that hidden systemic inflammation is a prime causative factor of psoriasis? Something I'm sure your doctor will have never shared with you. Through trial and error, I found that the skin must be treated with natural oils instead of those chemical preparations. This priceless information has given my psoriasis patients a whole new lease on life. I studied psoriasis for many years and slowly started putting together a blueprint until I finally formulated the program. This master plan has led me to put an end to my patient's psoriasis flare-ups, and it's the same plan I want to share with you in just a moment. I can tell you, though, it didn't happen overnight for most of my psoriasis patients. Most patients first noticed that their digestive system improved and then their skin improved dramatically. It is fantastic for a person with chronic psoriasis to be able to socialize with complete confidence, to be able to go out with loved ones and friends and not feel overwhelmed, anxious, or the need to run away and escape. Those with psoriasis can take pride in knowing that there is a natural and drug-free way to overcome psoriasis before it ruins their lives. And most importantly, psoriasis patients are finally able to have the kind of intimate and social relationships they always wanted. At first, I only shared my plan with a few patients who were desperate, experiencing the worst cases of psoriasis several years ago, and I honestly wasn't surprised that it worked perfectly for them. But it wasn't until I started to share my psoriasis plan with all psoriasis patients, as well as the many healthcare professionals I know, that I realised I'd stumbled onto the secret. At that point, it had become clear that I had discovered a psoriasis treatment that was highly effective, not just for select patients, but for all who were sincere enough to follow the plan faithfully. Fast forward to today, and patients from all around the world are benefiting from my psoriasis plan. Now, what do you think would happen to your immune system if it was being adversely affected by your digestive system? Do you really believe that psoriasis is only a skin problem, and to get rid of psoriasis you only need to use creams or pills? The reality is that psoriasis has far more reaching and serious consequences than just being skin deep. And to help illustrate an important point, I'm going to paint a picture for you. Paul is a 55-year-old businessman who runs a busy hotel with his wife. He's had psoriasis since his 20s and was sick and tired of his recurring skin lesions. Paul always relied on advice from his doctor, but found that under medical care, the quality of his life was getting worse and not better. Paul plays golf and he enjoys swimming, but was too embarrassed in summer to enjoy these activities. Paul used to develop anxiety when he went out socially and started to become more withdrawn and depressed. He had to wear long-sleeve shirts and trousers even in the heat of summer to cover up his embarrassing psoriatic lesions. After taking drugs and creams for over 20 years, he developed many side effects as well, only adding to the discomfort. But none of this was Paul's fault, that he just couldn't seem to get rid of his psoriasis because he'd been lied to. Paul was told by his doctor that there was no known cause for his psoriasis. Paul was told to accept psoriasis as a way of life and to face up to the reality of creams, ointments and drugs for the rest of his life. Before I knew what I know today about psoriasis, I treated all psoriasis patients, like Paul, like most doctors. I treated their skin with a cream and told them to eat a healthy diet. The exact same psoriasis treatment that was being pushed, and still is, by every single doctor, naturopath, website, magazine, TV show and blog. But I was frustrated because my